Hi there, I'm Mike Creavey for Homeschool Connections, and I'm delighted today to be joined by Homeschool Connections instructor, Monica Breier. Monica, how are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. How about you?
I'm doing well. I enjoy getting to talk to our Homeschool Connections instructors, and it's just a great opportunity to get to know everybody a little bit better and share about everybody with the teachers, or rather the teachers with the families, potential students here. And why don't you just share with us a little bit about what brought you to Homeschool Connections?
Sure. So I had been teaching in Catholic schools for the Archdiocese of Denver for a while. I think 7 or 8 years. But
Mm,
I had younger kids, and it was difficult for me to get substitutes. Especially, I was teaching middle school math and science, and so it was really
mm.
oh. It was really sorry with my screen paused for a second. It was
No,
really
that's
tough
fine.
to get substitutes for that particularly, and it was a drive with like daycare and all sorts of things. And so, a friend of mine from my parish was a homeschool connections teacher, and we had worked together on some um, just one of the committees at our parish. And
Okay.
she had told me, "Oh, we're looking for a geometry teacher. Do you have any interest in this?" And so I looked into it, and I was like, "This would be this would be great. I can be be a better mom and still be able to teach and do what I really enjoy."
That's awesome. Yeah, it's a great opportunity to be able to, craft in certain sense. Yeah, there's of course, like we all have our sort of parameters we have to follow within our particular subjects, but you do get all that flexibility too in a lot of
Mhm.
ways. So why don't you tell us just a little bit about maybe some specific courses or just anything that you like to kind of point out about what the experience has been like for you or for potential students.
Sure. So yeah, the course that I was originally hired to teach is Jacob's Geometry, or Geometry Doing, Seeing, Understanding. And I've been teaching that now the whole time. I'm offering it again this year.
Okay.
Maureen, one of our co-founders, had recommended this particular textbook, and I feel like uh, I really love it because the author, Harold Jacobs, he's a fantastic writer. Also, he's very funny, and I think the students really enjoy reading the chapters too. Not that they necessarily need
Yeah.
to, since I think I provide all of the content, but um, he he brings in a lot of history, and I also like how just the flow of the textbook is great, but also we build up to some of the more difficult things that I think students get scared of when you hear about
Hmm.
geometry, which is proofs. And we
Right.
he builds them up, and he works through more like a conversation. And I think that's
That's neat.
yeah, it's a really great. It's just really great way
I wish
to
I wish I would
get
have had
into it.
that
Me too,
back in
right?
the day.
Yes, yes, I know. It's like I would have done way better if I could have just talked to somebody kind of through this as he does. And so yeah, the questions are all in like these series, and they he walks you through things, and sometimes you'll make the statements only for the proof or just the reasons. And I think it helps students really learn how to logically think through those a lot better than some of the
Yeah,
other, at least my experience with other textbooks.
right. Yeah, because I think that math gets that. I've said this to a couple math teachers actually so far in these interviews. So if anyone is following along these, you're like, oh, Mike, you sound like a broken record. But you like even as like I was interested in math. I wasn't one that just had an attitude that some people do. Of course, like
Sure.
oh, this
Yep.
isn't interesting. But I think I wanted to get it, and like my dad was really good with math, still is,
Mm.
and it would be frustrating because I could see that there was some connection that he was making, and this was like, this is really cool, and here, this is going to be applicable to this, and this reveals something about the world, and I was interested in that, but I just didn't like it didn't
Right.
click, it didn't sink in, it wasn't natural for me, and so sometimes that do you think is it fair to say that sometimes if the teacher right is able to really kind of show that enthusiasm or make those connections in creative ways that can really maybe help somebody through some of those hard times?
Sure. Definitely. And I
Yeah.
hope I do that for my students in all the different classes that I teach. We try to make it fun, but right, really have those light bulbs go off
Yeah.
as much as we can. And the real world applications, I really try to bring in as much of this, like, you're really going to need this here. And in some cases,
Yeah.
we talk about, yeah, you might not use it in this particular way, but you'll use the foundation of it. especially some of my upper level classes,
Sure.
they're like, you don't use it directly this way, but you will use it in some sort of applied way.
Can you give an example of that, just or like what you might go over with someone in that particular kind of
Oh goodness.
discussion?
Um,
I'm putting you on the spot, but just feel like an
yeah.
application. Yeah.
um, some of something I guess I'm thinking about, some of the functions that we do with in like algebra 2 pre-calc, so I teach the Glencoe
Hmm.
versions of
Hmm.
those, and I'm just thinking of some of the stuff we do with trig and like waves, and
Mm.
how all of that applies to, it can apply to sound and hearing,
Yeah.
and so like when you're changing things in hertz in your
Hmm.
oh my gosh, what's the word? If you have hearing aids and things, that
Oh,
all
right.
of that, yeah,
Yes.
all of that comes
Yeah.
from some of this math, and how how that's actually manipulated it's it kind of breaks down to some trig at the end of the
Yeah.
day, which is kind of cool. Um, and
The
so we do
navigation
that.
stuff was always cool to me because I've just always been interested in that in general, and I guess it's
Yeah.
just born out of a basic desire to always kind of know where I am on the planet at any given time,
Yes.
But but there's a lot of cool things. I never really got into sailing, but I always kind of wanted to, or I love being out on the water, and just it was
Mhm.
so amazing. It's so amazing you know, how much goes into those things that a lot of people just take for granted, or you're
Oh,
like, I'll just
sure.
let the computer do it. It's like, well, okay, but like, like computers, they can fail too. And it's good to kind of maybe know some of those basics and principles too, for
Absolutely.
getting around. Those are just a few. Yeah. Well, Monica, anything else just, that you would like to share, like about any other courses or anything in particular you kind of a pitch to families and to
Yes,
students?
yeah, one
Yeah.
I definitely want to highlight, and it because it does always get full, like, is my financial algebra class. So that
Ah,
one
okay.
I 100% recommend. I wish I would have taken a class like this, maybe not with me, but
Sure.
I just recommend some sort of financial class to any and every student, just because in my class particularly, and this class was actually taught by the friend that recommended me to Homeschool Connections before
Hmm.
she kind of semi-retired from teaching. But we talk about all of these things between like the stock market. We talk about how to file taxes, going over mortgages and car loans, and how to find an
Hmm.
apartment, even a lot of things that I would have made better choices as a young adult had I known really how credit cards work, and
Hmm.
just the importance of saving. And so I love teaching that class, because while we follow a book, we also, a lot of it is outside of that. We do a lot of extra things. A lot of that is by far it's the most real life applicable. You will use every single piece of this knowledge sometime in your life, kind of
Yeah.
class. And so that one I definitely recommend, or just some sort of financial education,
Right.
whether it's with me or not. Very important for especially like junior seniors in high school kind of range.
Absolutely. People getting their first jobs.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, if they're
Yeah.
16 as a sophomore or something, that
Right.
is super helpful too.
Well, Monica, thank you so much. This has been wonderful just to get to chat with you for a few minutes and learn a little bit more about your courses. And so, just best way to get in touch with you through the website, maybe through your teacher page. What do you recommend?
I would say my email, which
Okay.
is my last name, Breier, BREIERMM at gmail.com. And I'm very quick to return
To
emails in
respond. Nice.
general. Yeah. And so that's definitely the best way, just to chat with me. And I'm always happy to answer any questions about my classes, whether they're the live or the recorded ones as well.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much again for joining us, Monica, and God bless you.
Thank you.
And take care.